All right, good evening, everybody. Chairperson Dorothy Simboli and Vice Chair Mark Anderson are absent this evening, so I'll be presiding over the meeting. The Town of Winchester Zoning Board of Appeals meets tonight in accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40A, 40B, and other applicable laws. There's a sign-in sheet at the entrance. We ask you to please sign in. WinCam will be televising this hearing. There will also be an audio recording. In attendance tonight, we have zoning board members David Feigenbaum, myself, Harut Gazarian, Andrew Clovette, and Lauren Jonick. Tom Ashton will be producing the meeting minutes. Attorneys Karis North and Eddie Singer are the town attorneys. The applicant is Brian Melanson of Melanson Development Group, who's being represented by attorney Mark Vaughn. The applicant's proposed project is located at the corner of Washington Street and Swanton Street, specifically 278 and 297 Washington Street, 12 and 16 through 20 Washington Street, Swanton Street, rather. Mr. Melanson has applied for a comprehensive permit under Chapter 40B for the mixed-use development of 64 rental units with ground floor commercial space. Tonight we will focus on transportation and stormwater, followed up with a follow-up on design. We'll accept any new correspondence, take public comment, and answer any procedural questions. If town officials are present, they'll be given an opportunity to speak and ask questions. As a reminder to anyone addressing the board, you must please give your name and address for the record. In consideration of time, the chair may limit the length of all remarks, and I think we'll target 8:30 as a close of this meeting. So I'll open the hearing for continued petition 40B-Z-25-40B-1, the comprehensive permit application for 278 and 292 Washington Street, 12, 16 through 20 Swanton Street. Premises located on a 1.2 acre parcel zoned GBC-1, General Business District. This meeting was opened on May 21st, 2025. The initial application proposed 60 units and was then revised September 3rd, 2025 to include 64 units. The number of affordable units remains at 16. The applicant has provided an extension of the 180-day deadline to February 27th, 2026. Tonight's meeting will focus on transportation and stormwater, and we will also follow up on design from the last meeting. So I'll move to accept the 40B meeting minutes from January 14th, 2026 and January 28th, 2026, which have been edited by David Feigenbaum.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye, David Feigenbaum.
Aye, Harut Gazarian.
Aye, Andrew Clovette.
I'll move to accept the following correspondences, which I'll read here in order. February 5th, 2026, Doubler letter in favor. February 5th, 2026, Marotta letter in favor. February 5th, 2026, Zakin letter in favor. February 5th, 2026, Burka letter in favor. February 7th, 2026, Griffin letter in favor. February 7th, 2026, League of Women Voters of Winchester letter in favor. February 6th, 2026, Planning Board comments. January 27th, 2026, Cube 3 comments addressing Jen Murphy, Health Director concerns. February 1st, 2026, Dennis Carlone design overview from January 14th, 2026 and January 28th, 2026 meetings. January 27th, 2026, RJOC revised site and civil design and updated stormwater analysis. January 9th, 2026, updated calculations. February 10th, 2026, Verdicchio comments in favor. February 10th, 2026, VHB comments. February 10th, 2026, Matt Schuman, Town Engineer memo. February 9th, 2026, conservation comments. February 11th, 2026, design presentation. February 10th, 2026, Verdicchio letter in favor. I think we already got that one. And that's it. Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye, David Feigenbaum.
Aye, Harut Gazarian.
Aye, Andrew Clovette.
Okay. So, I think the order that we'll ask people to present tonight is stormwater, transportation, engineering, and then any design updates. Tom, conservation, any planning board comments, and then we can open for public comment. So if, let me see here. Stormwater.
Rich O'Connell, R.J. O'Connell Associates, Montvale Ave, Stoneham.
Aaron Wilson, 260 Arsenal with VHB.
So we've done the presentation prior on the stormwater. It's been through the peer review. There's been 2 rounds of peer review. You have a final letter that you accepted tonight, and a letter from town engineer which parrots that and offers some conditions that the board can consider. We've had that conversation with our client. We've been in touch with VHB. Aaron and I have been back and forth on different items. And unless there's some questions, we're okay with the conditions to move ahead. Again, stormwater is pretty cut and dry.
Okay. I don't have any questions. David?
I don't have
Andrew?
Nope.
Any questions?
So with that, we're available. If the public has questions later on, Aaron and I will be here and to answer any.
Sure. So Aaron, do you have anything to add?
Nope, he covered it. We've gone through a couple of rounds of comments. We had a couple of conditions to address some outstanding items. We've discussed them with Rich as well as with the town. We're comfortable with those.
Sure. And just for the record, so everybody knows, Aaron is the town's stormwater peer review consultant. Okay.
Good.
So I think we could move on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So transportation would be Scott Thornton of Vanass and Erica Vidobioni of Tool. Erica here.
Somebody else?
I don't think she is here, if I could. Mark Vaughn with Reamer Bronstein, representing the applicant. I know that the peer review consultant for traffic transportation was here previously to present her findings, and I don't think there were questions on them. I think the board might have been waiting for some input from the town engineer, which he touched upon in his memo, which was a separate memo dated February 10th, where he had a couple of additional suggestions relative to transportation traffic matters, which we've had a chance to review, and Stefan with Vanass Associates filling in for Scott Thornton would be prepared to answer any questions or address any comments you might have on those. So,
Okay. I don't think I have any specific questions. Did you have something to sort of update us on in this meeting, or is it?
not really. I mean, there were a condition that was requested that we do some traffic monitoring 12 months after occupancy of the commercial units to observe trips at the site drives, and in the event that the trip generation exceeded by 20% or more that which was in our traffic report, then we would need to reanalyze the operations of the traffic signal at Washington and Swanton and make any appropriate signal timing adjustments. So I think that was a new condition that had been added by, or suggested by Matt Schuman, and we've had a chance to talk and with the client as well, and we're okay with that as a condition. So.
Okay. All right. Well, unless there are any other questions from anyone here, maybe you'll just be standing by in case there's public comment or question that relates to this. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I don't know, what does this mean to you here? What we say, engineering, C,
I think there were comments on engineering, weren't there? I don't know if I have them here.
The VHB memo?
No, I think the 210 additional engineering comments. Just pulling up on my...
Well, thank you. Goodbye.
See you later. Design, engineering, see memo dated 2/10.
So is Mark still? Mark?
Yes.
So have you had a chance to review these 210 additional engineering comments?
We have, yes. From Matt Schuman?
Yeah.
Yes.
Should we go over the ones that look like they haven't been fully addressed? For instance, there's one here that says, "This comment has been partially addressed. An additional gate valve is required on the water main and Swanton Street side of the main. This comment can be addressed prior to issuance of building permit." Okay, so that, even though it says partially addressed, I think that seems like that's all set.
Mark, he goes on to put in his conditions.
Yeah, I think what he was suggesting, Mr. Chairman, is that they would be kind of conditions for approval, and I think we're fine with those. But if you wanted to walk through them individually, I think that's fine, too. I think that, he's asking for specific detail, add the diameter. I think they all have been addressed, but at the end, he's suggesting that some additional conditions be incorporated into a decision about forwarding all correspondence with DEP pertaining to any soil management disposal, things about prior to the issuance of the building permit, the applicant shall provide additional documentation specified in the VHB peer review letter, and he lists those things, water quality volume computations, pipe capacity analysis, and things like that.
Okay, so I see that too. So that's at the bottom of his letter dated February 10th, 2026, that we accepted into the record.
Right.
You've reviewed that, and you're fine with all of those conditions and comments that have been made in that letter?
Yeah, I think we are. Is that correct? Yeah. Yes, we are.
Okay. So I think that addresses that point then, and we can move on to the design updates.
Michelle Littlefield with Cube 3, the architect of the project, and Dennis. So we can walk you through some of the design updates. The last time we were here, we discussed a number of points that the board, the design review commission, and the peer reviewer felt were important to study with the project. So what you're seeing here is sort of the additional refinements that we've put through, as well as some of the requested details from the design review committee. And we'll go through these in a little bit of detail. So this is the project that you saw. This actually might be two meetings ago, January 14th. We were here 2 weeks ago on the 28th, so that might be an error on our compilation of data. But this is the updated concept design. So very few changes to the overall building, but so we're going to zoom in a little bit into this view to show you some of the refinements that we've made to the project. So the first of which was we went through and studied the bays again on the project, and the specific ask last time was that we reconsider the amount of glazing that's in the bays based off of one of the committee, the DRC comments. So what we've done here is that those windows on the side of the bay, we've enlarged it and sort of straightened it off, as those windows are now floor to ceiling, essentially glass on the upper 2 floors. And there's a tall window on the first floor. And so that enhanced glass, we think it parallels better with the height of those recessed balconies, and gives a little bit of a better rhythm to those bays as now proposed. We've also...
I'm confused by your description of the 3 windows, and you said the bottom one was taller, but it doesn't look taller to me.
Sure. So originally the first floor windows were always, last time you saw this, the first floor windows were always taller, and the second and third floor windows were a shorter window, sort of more of a standard sill height window. And so now the second and the third floor windows are the same height as those first floor windows.
In the projections, in the projected part?
In the projected part, correct.
But not in the other part?
No, at the back of that balcony, that sort of proposed proposed door opening is the same.
Okay.
And so the first floor of this building is taller to house that commercial space. So the taller window doesn't look as tall here, but if you compare the sill of the window to the bottom of that door opening, there's still probably a 2-foot sill below this window and a much higher ceiling height. And then the second floor of this window is sort of at the floor. So a larger proportion. We also studied the bays, and they are now parallel to the body of the building. They're no longer angled.
Good.
One of the other things we studied was how the top of these gables sort of meets the sky. And the request was sort of a soldier course. And we studied a couple different ways to achieve this, shared some of them with Dennis. And this is where we sort of ended up, which is sort of a soldier course that's perpendicular to the roof edge with a little bit of refinement at the 2 bottom soffit conditions. So this mimics the treatment at those window headers there, the soldier course style.
Is that done in, commonly with brick walls like this? To put the soldier courses perpendicular to the roof rather than to the ground?
We studied it parallel to the ground as well. If you look at some of the other buildings in town, if they use limestone or granite, often it's square to the brick. But if you use it in a brick, it's often much more like this, parallel to perpendicular to that roof edge.
And you have a shadow line.
Yep, and there is a small shadow line there. So this brick detail projects past the face here, so you get that shadow line here. The same way you can see it a little bit under that windowsill as well. A little bit difficult to see in this straight-on view. But
Color of the beige color, which bothered me the last time. I don't think it's good. I'll just say it that way. I don't think it's going to look good coming down Washington Street. Too light.
the building itself,
The-
unrelated to the brick.
Yes, the brick, I think, is looking pretty good. The arches at the entrances, I'm still wondering about, but the brick is nice. So that's, if I recall, it's clabbered up to
Yes.
the beige part is clabbered, but then there's this part that's board and batten in the darker,
Correct. So
is that right?
yes. So the sort of the body of the building, everything that's in that taupe color is clapboard siding. One of the other refinements was we addressed the previous comment about relooking at the window trims. So the trims at the top of these windows has been widened, and a vertical sort of street-facing trim has been applied. There's also a horizontal added at the top of the window header, as well as at the windowsill itself for a more traditional approach to the trim.
Just so I'm clear, at the top of the, there's a thin board at the top there.
Yes,
That-
there's
that
a
extends.
correct.
Yeah, I personally think it's much better now.
It's an improvement.
Yeah. Good.
I think I might have skipped over one slide. So with the brick, we also studied a header treatment at the top of the commercial storefront windows. So previously, the running bond brick sort of ran continuous over the windows, and there was a request to study a more traditional look there. We did study bringing that past the storefront windows. It felt a little bit like it was, not following gravity's logic. So we went back to this sort of traditional approach of aligning it with the window opening, which reads nicely with the proportion of the band here. Hard to see a little bit in this straight-on view, but in some of the other views that will show you the updated perspective views, you can see sort of the reveal under this band as well as how these lintels fit.
Mm-hmm.
We looked at that. We've also included in here just the updated elevation views, which we haven't looked at in quite some time, probably since September. So we took the design approach that we've been resolving and refining and wrapped it around the building. So the Washington Street elevation, which we've been looking at, the Swanton Street elevation that we've been looking at as well, but now farther back in this view. And so, yeah, your question was so the gray, green, these bays that are now parallel projected from the face of the building are that gray, green board and batten.
The whole, yeah, I see it. I see the battens.
Yep, they look like tiny little lines on the screen here. And then the top story farther down Swanton Street becomes a board and batten as well, in that cream color that matches the trim around the windows in the clapboard siding as well as the cornice edge. And I will say the colors, and Dennis mentioned this to me after we sent the presentation today, the colors in these images aren't showing exactly as we're proposing, so I have a couple of the samples again as well. This is the side elevation with the commercial up towards Washington Street. There's another one of those short bays at the front here, added the courtyard elevation at the back as Dennis requested, and the board and batten wraps around this tail of the building as well. And then this is the rear setback. So there's two doors at grade here, the stair egress door, as well as the loading and garage access door at the back side, and two additional bays facing this rear setback with the board and batten across the top. So this is the view we've been seeing for a while now. That refinement gets, you can't see it once you start to back up from the building like this, but it does add that level of texture and detail that you've been asking for. So it's as you had mentioned previously, David, it's not something you can necessarily put your finger on.
No, I think it's better.
But it adds that texture. If you're on Washington Street looking north, you see that residential entry in the front corner of your perspective here, and the commercial entry towards the back. And if you flip around and look across Swanton Street looking south towards the center, that first bay is really all you'll see on Swanton Street once you start to get back past that red light at the intersection, because of the neighbor here has very large shrubs. One of Dennis's newer comments too, which we've been thinking about but didn't quite address, the color of this roof really should correlate more with the gray-green and the black accents. In the wrong lighting, it looks
I agree.
really the wrong color.
So what are you thinking color-wise? I mean,
It'll probably get a little bit darker, a little bit more brown, a little bit richer.
black to match the railing, maybe? Would that not work?
But there is a dark, excuse me, a dark green that's almost black. Now, I'm not sure about what the fabricator can provide, but I've used it on storefronts, and it's a nice color. Yes, it's dark, but it's not pure black. But it all depends what the fabricator can supply. On the roof, I would suggest it be more closer to the gray-green. There is a beautiful gray that I've used just to add a little more richness. And the other obvious one is copper green, but that's overused, and it doesn't really look like copper turning green. But, you know, in typical design review, to the development team's credit, these details are not developed till near the end. In fact, I'm sure some things will change. That's normal. But the Melanson team have provided you that. Now, maybe the land development agreement requires this detail, but they've gone beyond what a 40B normally does. So I think the moves have refined the concept in a very positive way. I'm sure there'll be questions later when you see everything put together on a test wall, but it's going in the right direction. Same design concept, but it's been refined, and I think in a very positive way.
I agree. I think it looks very nice.
I'm not comfortable with the beige.
With the,
Taupe. You call it taupe, I call it beige.
Well, one of my comments, well, you don't know until you see
No, I know, but
real samples.
I just think
The whitish
light.
trim doesn't pop as much, but in fact, it could be the computer. And I know
maybe-
you have some samples later, and
I like the taupe.
And there was some comment, I think from design review, about, or suggesting the possibility of a panel, a roof panel that, on the middle section.
Yes,
And
the DRC recommended the shed between the
Yes,
two gables.
right.
And at the last ZBA, we discussed as a board that you didn't want us to go ahead and study that.
That's my
I
recollection.
agreed with that concept.
Just for the record, I disagree. But I think I was outvoted, wasn't I? Yeah,
I was outvoted too, even though I don't have a vote, but
yeah.
thank you for.
I
what you said on
think that
the
would add a lot. So,
I disagree. I think the main thing left. I like the color palette. The only thing it draws, to your point, that what you said earlier, it draws your eye to that roof. So either you would never. I like the gray green because it seems like a modern interpretation of a verdigris to me. Without being verdigris. So if it's
Well,
possible,
it
to
only,
make it
metal
look like
roofs only come in certain colors, so the architect would try to meet that as close as they can.
could you show the view? You have one looking down Swanton Street, yeah.
This one's the best one for that.
Is there one? I
The
guess
other
that's-
way?
Is there a?
Just
No,
this
I
one.
think the one you showed was the one that I was interested in. At first, yeah, there. Yeah. And then you had another view coming up Swanton Street. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
They had made moves on that view, as Michelle mentioned last time, with the brick at the base having a richness. Even that quarter-inch recess adds some gravitas to it. And the top floor being articulated subtly also adds some. This was sort of the worst view from an interest point of view. And I think, honestly, they've done everything they can to make it have character.
I think it's good. My only objection, I'll say, is the color. But otherwise, I agree with what you said about the board and batten up at the top and the brick at the bottom. It's a handsome building.
And, sorry, I was going to say something else, but these are sort of the requested details from the DRC as we had showed last time. Just a detail of what that Juliet balcony might look like in the future. So the detail cut shows sort of 4 dark squares. That's what it's being cut through. So there is no floor to this Juliet. It's really just a railing that's mounted to the building.
Yeah, it's only a little.
Just a couple inches, yep. So that would need to meet railing guidelines, no larger than a 4-inch sphere, things like that. So it would be safe for the building occupants.
Can you go back to the prior image? Have you tried other colors than Dennis's taupe?
This isn't Dennis's taupe. This was the
No,
design
it's his
piece.
word. It's his word.
It's
not
called Cube 3 taupe.
We'll call it that color.
So we call this putty, actually.
Okay, putty.
From
So
our-
have you
from our
have you
historic-
attempted other?
We have tried other colors. We tried versions of gray, grays and blues, which in our opinion, looking at the project, can end up making a building like this feel larger. And then once it starts to feel larger and you start to add the articulation at the top floor, all of a sudden that becomes a third color, and it can really start to segment the building once you start playing with it like that a little bit too heavily. So we like the putty for a number of reasons. The neighborhood itself has a lot of homes this color, so it really does fit into the neighborhood in this color palette. We didn't try anything sort of much darker. I think the gray-green that you see is really the darkest option that we looked at. And then obviously the brick gables on Washington Street.
How green is that? Gray green.
So we
do you
have a couple samples.
Yeah.
Gray-green, and this lighting is really, really bad, but gray-green is also a little bit tough to pick off a screen, so, and it's a little bit tough to pick under these lights. So
Yeah.
we will eventually, this is just one manufacturer. We haven't picked a manufacturer yet, but once we pick the manufacturer, we'll start to decide, we'll pick the brick first, and then we'll pick the green, and then we'll pick the tan to go with it. So these are sort of a couple of the options.
So
So it may end up
this is the
here.
trim and the taupe
Yes,
putty?
putty.
It's much more
So there's more
varied than
contrast
on
here.
a screen.
Yeah, no, of course. Yeah.
And then the gray-green, I think this one feels too green in this room, so we'd probably end up something here.
Yeah. It's nice.
I know that there was a public comment submitted for concern of the light-colored building getting dirty and being hard to maintain. We're proposing, this in particular is a very low-maintenance material, and it is very resistant to mold and rot and mildew, so it'll be easy to clean in 20 years when it needs to be. So that we're not worried about the light color fading poorly over time. We have considered that in the durability of the material.
Okay.
I think it's nice. If you like the brick, and it seems like everybody likes the green, I don't know what other color you could make the body of the building.
I think if you start
Would
getting
be
into,
You could make it a darker.
get into grays and
You
get
could
into
make it a
blues.
darker version of what it is.
It's pretty convincing. I think the 3 samples are pretty convincing. Granted, it's under fluorescent, but
A little bit.
So the two that are that color,
They're both called beige, if it makes you feel better. Yeah, it wouldn't.
so help me out again. Which part of the
So the-
windows and the building side are
This is a
which?
tough view because it's kind of backwards what we're proposing, the way the lighting is. This one's a little bit better. So the clapboard siding we're proposing is the darker, and then the window trim and the cornice we're proposing as the lighter. And then around the other side, where the board and batten comes in, we're proposing that all as the lighter.
Okay.
David, is that a little bit darker than your, like what you see on the screen? The one on the left?
The one on my left,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
And that's what you're looking for, something a little bit darker.
Yeah. But you say that is, I mean, that's what you have in mind using.
That's what we have in mind for this. I will say that everybody's eyes in
I
their
think
screen is
that
different.
would be good. My 2 cents.
And so this was this old sort of slide, and here they look almost the same as well. So that putty versus an oyster.
Hang on. So the oyster is the trim, and the putty is the main
Yes.
surface.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, it's good.
He likes the color now.
Yeah, well.
I know the screen is
It's
the
growing
screen is
on me.
not the screen's tough.
No, I know. It's good. I'm better. I'm better with it.
And we can continue to look at the roof color. I think again we were proposing sort of a darker brown bronze-ish. But we can look at the the manufacturer's range and see if there's something that's a green gray or a green brown. I mean, that roof looks better in this view than it did in the other view, so.
Okay.
And again, so these were just the details requested by the DRC, the balcony, the enlarged window details. I think we showed these last time, except for we didn't have the jam last time, and these are updated. The previous window design didn't have a jam trim facing the street.
How far is it inset?
It is to the
About.
face of the window frame
Yeah.
is probably an inch, and then the glass is set back farther than that. another 3/4 of an inch.
So that, I'm talking about this surface, right?
It's not
Yes.
correct.
So that, it looks more than that, doesn't
I
it?
think that's why we're using both drawings here, is that this is a construction document
the
level
real-
that's more accurate than
That's the real
how
deal.
it gets modeled, yes.
Okay. I think the setback is desirable.
It is desirable,
I
but
mean,
typical.
whatever's practical. It has to be practical, but,
That's, the details are how a builder would build,
yeah,
and an owner in particular, as Michelle described last time.
yeah. Okay.
But it's, to me, it's a major improvement, the trim and the character of it. It feels like a neighborhood building.
Me too. I agree. I think it's much better. So that's, is the trim actually wood, or is it a hardy board, or,
It won't be wood, it'll be a hardy board,
Yeah.
or a composite,
okay?
so it'll also be resistant to mold and rot and bugs.
Okay. Any questions?
No, these are very good details. It's a really nice explanation of all the things that we talked about last time.
I think it looks very nice. Is there anyone from the planning board or the design review committee here in attendance who wants to speak? You heard? No? So I see in the letter that we admitted into the record, dated February 6th from the planning board, looks like they have not seen this design, but had expressed that their preference for the January 14th design, which I assume was the prior iteration here before they saw this. So I assume that means their preference for that design versus the prior design. And I think we're all probably in agreement here that this is a refinement further of that design. So I think that was their comment in their letter. And they had made another comment about encouraging retail uses for the commercial space, which we've talked about before. Anything else anyone could think of regarding design updates or discussion?
Not for now.
Just, there was a comment that the planning board had as well on page 2 of their letter. I just wanted to make reference to the urging the board to have applicant include seating accessible to the public to activate the streetscape. We
Okay.
do have some bench seating out there that's been provided, so just wanted to make reference to that comment and how we feel like we've addressed it.
Thank you. Okay,
I think it's much better. I think it's good. It'll be an
It's great.
asset
Well
to the
done.
town.
Yeah,
Thank you.
very nice.
It will be.
Yeah.
We're happy to propose the building.
Okay, so if there's nothing else regards to design updates, we'll move on to conservation. Is there anyone from conservation here? No, so there are conservation comments in a letter. Did you see this, David, regarding some of the tree selection?
I saw it, but
So it's in
It's
the
not my
record. I don't
topic.
think we need, I don't think we need to discuss it any further. I think
Uh,
we've already
to-
talked about it before.
it's a topic of interest to Dorothy, and she's seen that, and I think she must be okay with it because she wasn't saying much about it.
Well, I think it was discussed sort of extensively at the last meeting,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That certain things could be native species, and certain things have to be
Yep.
hybrids or non-native for certain reasons. I think that was discussed to everyone's satisfaction the last time.
Could we have this mountain put on Washington Street?
That's old Winchester.
Yeah.
So I think that's it. We addressed the planning board comments. Note here to identify any outstanding issues. You recall any?
To the extent that I do, I think we've discussed them.
Okay. Do we accept any public comment?
I think we should hear.
Is there anyone here from the public who would like to speak? Please.
Good evening. I'm Dennis Dale, landscape architect. I used to work for Benjamin Thompson Associates. We did a lot of retail streetscape projects. More recently, I've been working with a firm, Bindfield Associates, doing a project down in Darien, Connecticut. And it has the same nature of recreating a downtown village corner, which is essentially what this Washington Street, Swanton Street has, that real feeling or opportunity to feel like it's organically developed. And the reason why I came in this evening was that it feels like you have two brick facades and a building that sits on top of a brick plinth, and then it has this odd, very cool or taupe or putty building stuck in between them. And the images that have been shown shows downtown Winchester and how the block along Main Street, the brick and the limestone base, all has a very simple, straightforward storefront quality to it. And the building just feels, the brick having a little bit of a cap section on it is a great direction to go in. But it feels like it's still one big building, and it almost seems like they could almost break it up a little bit. And like you were talking about the color, that taupe color is so anemic. there's no gravitas. And when you look at, downtown, if you went to Gloucester or someplace else, these buildings could have a deep blue or, a colonial yellow, or there could be a greater sense of the building being developed kind of organically, not just like one big building that went in and they have these two storefronts. That corner that is right on the corner of Swanton and Washington Street, with that block of building which has nothing to do with the brick next to it. The brick is a warm color, a nice rich brick color. So, and suddenly there's this either taupe or light gray, which is very cool. So the building just feels really episodic, and then at the same time too massive. And there are opportunities where the gray buildings come down. There could almost be townhouse feelings as you went down Swanton Street. You could have a little bit more breaking up that massing and use that to take the scale down a little bit. That's a really big, that as you're heading towards Washington Street, up Swanton Street, that back end really just seems not conceived. It's like, oh, it's just the back end of the building kind of thing. So I know this has gone through, and the neighborhood's really looking to get this thing built, and it's great. But it just seems like, the retail storefronts, they could have awnings. There could be a little bit more, I don't know whether it's just the graphics on it, but could have a little bit more quality of coming to a neighborhood grocery store on the corner, or a small retail shop on the corner. But it just feels very, almost, it's getting there, but it feels very blank and very, very stark. So just from my experience of having worked on many streetscape projects where we were trying to recreate that sense of the town being developed, and seen it done rather successfully without it being really expensive either. I'm not looking at trying to redesign it. I think the general massing seems good, but there's just some corners where you could just give it a little bit more life or color, or something that makes it a little less of a giant massive building with these two kind of brick facades in the front. But that's just my comments on it. just,
Are you familiar with that version? Did you say?
no, that's like that's like doing the Bretton Woods kind of hotel kind of look to it.
Well, but it does have the green against the brick is nice, I think.
And in that case, I mean, if you broke it up a little bit, instead of having the bands continue all the way across, you gave those sections a little bit more sense of their own identity. That might be the direction, but
I'm just saying the color is the green against
the green,
the black.
having
the red
a
is
little
nice.
bit more, gusto or something to it. That and the building does feel really flat. I know that. I mean, the cornice could be, especially now, with using the different plastic materials, you can get a little bit heavier cornice, so it has a little bit more presence to it instead of just being some the Aztec kind of piling up of the edge. Just give it a little bit more beef to it. But that's just my suggestions. And
Yeah, thank you.
so,
You would?
Yeah.
Michelle, would you like to comment on the gentleman's views or observations?
I'm interested in hearing your view on what he said.
Michelle with Cube 3.
actually, I have a
Yeah, it is a good idea.
An appendix.
We're going to be looking at this for 100 years.
I tried to jot down all of your thoughts. There were a lot. I agree with most of your comments that this building could be very different. I think when we came to the project, when Cube 3 joined over the summer, after the original May design, one of our concepts was to intentionally create a building that felt like one building rather than one wall that's made to look like a series of historic homes. In our experience, that holistic building, even if it feels a little bit bigger now today, feels more authentic in 10 years or 15 years to the residents living in the building, that they're going into door A and they live in building 292, and that they don't walk into white building and walk through tan building to get to brown building. So for us, it helps build a sense of community in a building like this.
You're on the second floor, though. The first floor is all retail.
No, there's only 3,800 square feet of retail in the proposed building, so it's just that front corner.
But you want that streetscape to read, so when you go into your building, I see what you're, so you're actually, all your retail, all your,
So up on Washington Street.
on Washington Street, that's the only one that has it.
And Dennis Carlone, the peer reviewer, also mentioned your comment about potentially bringing some of those bay elements down to Swanton Street, and creating potentially stoops or front doors along Swanton Street. And the development team actually, we used to have doors along Swanton Street, and we actually took them out because some of the public comments were that they'd prefer Swanton Street to be the more private side of the building. And so we intentionally moved some more of the landscape elements, the seat wall elements, all to Washington Street to consolidate that activity zone to one location. We would love it if this whole well, we wouldn't love it if this whole neighborhood was retail with residential above. That's not this neighborhood. So I think we were really trying to concentrate the small activity that is going to happen here, because it is a relatively small space, to one location, rather than allowing it to really spill down the street to other locations. I think we like the color. I think we went through that. We like the putty color.
Okay.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public who'd like to comment? Have you heard? No? Okay.
We're done.
We're ahead of schedule. Want to close the, we close the public hearing first, or make a motion to continue? I suppose we make a motion to continue, right?
Yeah, but it was, just ask again if there's anybody who wants to speak.
Anybody else? Public comment? No.
Okay, thank you.
So,
And I think we continue,
yeah.
so go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think we would not, I don't think closing the public hearing tonight was what was,
I'm
yeah.
not we have
Yeah,
to continue
continue
it to Thursday, February 25th.
Yeah, I think, actually, the date that that we had talked about before, I think it's Wednesday, the 25th.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
We better check the calendar.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
Wednesday, the 25th.
Yeah. I think we would be fine with, well, at least personally, because I'm juggling another meeting on the 25th, be fine with the Thursday, the 26th, but maybe we should just, for the time being, keep it Wednesday, the 25th, and deal with that issue later, but.
Yeah, it needs to be the 25th, as previously discussed. I'm not available on the 26th.
All right, that's fine.
That's fine, yep.
Okay. Okay, anything else, Mark, that,
I don't think so. I think, the hope and expectation would be that would be the date that the hearing would be closed. So I think if we need to provide any, like I know Michelle had presented the revised documents, we'll just make sure that those are in to the board, and anything that R.J. O'Connell, the civil engineer as well, I think we'll make sure you have that in advance of the 25th. So.
okay.
I wanted to remind the board that I'm out of town on the 25th. So if there's anything that the board needs me to do before that week, next week, I'm happy to do, but I need to know ahead of time. If you want me to certify something, I don't know what your requirements are. But I will update my design review notes, which I verbalized tonight, that I think it's good progress. They have listened and responded in an intelligent way, and I think the project has subtly but dramatically improved. So if you need more than that, I'll be happy to do it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
You got somebody in the back.
May I just speak to the point about closing the public hearing on the 25th? I just want to share, and obviously I'm new to Winchester and process here, but even if the board votes on the 40B, they then have 40 days after the public hearing is closed to issue the decision. Typically, then the board has to review the decision and vote on the decision and gets issued. Oftentimes, during the period of drafting the decision, there may be questions, issues, comments, and it is always my recommendation that the board keep the public hearing open until the meeting when they vote on the decision, as opposed to when they vote on the application, which I believe you're planning on doing on the 25th. So I just want to put that out there. Attorney Vaughn and I can have a further discussion about it in the next several days. But that is typically how I advise my clients to proceed in this type of situation, that they keep the public hearing open while the decision is being prepared. Thank you.
Fair point, thank you.
Okay, so you'll be here at the next meeting to remind us of that then?
Yes, and Attorney Vaughn and I will have had a conversation about that beforehand.
Okay. All right, well then, you want to make a motion to continue the
I move to continue the hearing to February
25th, which is Wednesday.
25th, the Wednesday at 7 p.m. in this room.
Second. All in favor?
I, David Feigenbaum.
Aye, Harut Kazarian.
Hi, Andrew Corbett.
Okay. Move to adjourn.
Yes.
Okay.
I move to adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
I, David Feigenbaum.
Aye, Harut Kazarian.
Hi, Andrew Corbett.
Okay. Great.
Thank you all for your time, appreciate it, thanks.